Seattle, acknowledge your reigning, defending, undisputed NFC North heavyweight champions of the world, the brand new Detroit Lions. So, of course, big Monday night game for the Lions this Monday night. We got the Seahawks coming to town. The Seattle being an absolute fucking thorn in Detroit's side for years. So, let's take a look at this game and see how Detroit fares coming in. So, of course, for the point spread, the line has Detroit currently favored in this game by 3.5 points. So, about 4-point favorites for Detroit. Seattle, of course, leads the all-time series over Detroit 13-5. And Seattle has won the last 6 meetings against Detroit, including that playoff game in 2016. And, of course, this year, Seattle, they're undefeated, of course. So they're 1-0 on the road this year. Detroit, 1-1 at home this year. So, yeah, this was a perfect time to go give Seattle their first loss of the year. But let's talk about everything else, though. So, on offense, of course, the quarterback for the Seahawks, of course, is Geno Smith, a.k.a. Geno Machino. As Geno Smith continues to be an absolute machine since becoming a starter for Seattle. Of course, the Seahawks, though, for running back Kenneth Walker, he's currently questionable for this game with an oblique injury. So, that would be a big loss if Kenneth Walker can't play for the Seahawks. That would be a huge blow. But the receiving core is very talented for Geno Smith, as he has a great plethora of weapons to throw to. You know, from Tyler Lockett to DK Metcalf, Donkey Kong Metcalf, to Jackson Smith and Jigba, and of course tight end Noah Fant. The defensive line is anchored by Draymond Jones and Jared Reed. Of course, the rookie Byron Murphy, he's currently questionable for this game with a hamstring injury. And Leonard Williams is currently questionable for this game with a rib injury. I imagine Leonard Williams will play through that, so I think Leonard Williams will play. In terms of the linebacking core, well, Jerome Baker is currently questionable for the game with a hamstring injury. And Uchenna Nwosu is questionable for this game with an MCL sprain. But they do got some other good linebackers in that in the middle of the field with Tyrell Dodson and Boy Mafe. The secondary has pretty good talent there too. Rashawn Jenkins. You also got Julian Love, Devin Witherspoon, and you got Reek Woolen. Of course, the head coach of the squad is Mike McDonald, who the first-year head coach, former defensive coordinator for the Ravens. He was taken over after Pete Carroll decided to step down and call it a career. Don't worry, Pete Carroll, your place in Canton will be waiting for you one day. Of course, the offensive coordinator for the Seahawks now is Ryan Grubb, and the defensive coordinator is Aiden Durd. So for the Seahawks, this week we'll start using the rankings for this year now that we're into week 3. Since now we're starting to get a good idea of what everybody has now. So, for the offense for the Seahawks is currently the 8th ranked offensive unit. They're number 3 in the passing game. But the run game, a lot to be decided, as they're currently the 23rd ranked rushing offense in the league. In terms of Seattle's defense, this will be a tough task for Detroit, as Seattle enters with the number 2 defense in the league. The Seahawks, they're number 1 against the pass. But against the run, a lot to be decided, as Seattle currently has the 15th ranked defense against the run. So I think obviously the big key for Detroit here obviously is to establish the run, because we also know how much damage Seattle has done to Detroit offensively. As in the last 3 meetings, Seattle has scored at least 37 points or more in the last 3 meetings against Detroit. So I think for Detroit, I think we're gearing up on Monday night for an offensive shootout. If the last 3 games have been any indication about how Seattle's offense has been, I think we're gearing up for an offensive shootout Monday night. And of course, for Detroit Monday night, they'll most likely be wearing the black jerseys, since they're really teasing the fuck out of it on social media, the Lions social media page. They update the profile pic with a black Lions logo. The cover photo on Facebook, it shows Amon-Ra St. Brown in the black uniform. Yeah, they're really teasing. I think I said this is the game most likely the Lions are gonna bring the black jerseys back, and I think this is the one, which is why I got the black Amon-Ra St. Brown on black Dark Sun God jersey. But yeah, in terms of the keys to win this game, offense has to step up. Like I mentioned with Seattle, like the offense has struggled the first 3 weeks of the season. Lions offense, they need to step it up. I think you got to establish the run game. Establish the run game, and I think the big key here is we all know what Seattle's offense can do against Detroit, and the best way to beat that offense is to keep them off the field for as long as humanly possible. Defensively, defensively, you got to find a way to shut down that three-headed monster receiving trio of Lockett, Metcalf, and Nick Jigba, especially Metcalf. That's going to be a tough task to order. Stuff to run if Kenneth Walker plays. That's going to be big, and you got to find a way to contain Geno Smith, since the Lions have had issues with Geno Smith in the last 2 meetings. So, got to find a way to shut Geno Machino down, contain him. Defense needs to play like they played the last 3 games, like they played the first 3 games this year. They do that, I think the Lions have a good shot to win this game. Seattle's also going to be on a lot of pressure, currently still 3-0. As Seattle's going to try to do everything they can to make sure Detroit doesn't hand them their first loss of the season. Not going to be an easy game by any stretches of the imagination Monday night. But I think this is a must-win game for Detroit. You're on primetime television. Got the whole nation watching, even though you're going to be splitting the Monday night duties with Tennessee and Miami. Dear God, Tennessee-Miami, that's going to be a horrible fucking game. Especially with Tua still out from that concussion. The fact Tua hasn't announced his retirement yet is kind of absurd, because Tua should retire. And then, of course, the Titans are just pretty bad this year. That game is going to be so fucking terrible. At least Detroit-Seattle is going to be the more watchable game on Monday night. Especially when you consider how big the offensive shoots have been the last 2 games alone. But yeah, of course, the last couple years I've said that this is the year Detroit's going to finally knock off Seattle. And of course, I think the Seattle team is a lot different with Mike McDonald compared to Pete Carroll. I mean, we're going to find out for sure Monday night. Was Pete Carroll the reason why Seattle has been a thorn in Detroit's side? Or is Seattle overall just a thorn in Detroit's side? That question will for sure be answered on Monday Night Football. But for this game, I think Detroit could do it. The defense has played outstanding, especially Hutchinson. If Hutchinson can get a couple sacks on Geno Smith and the defense can contain, also someone on the other side of the line with Hutchinson's going to have to step up and Marcus Davis poured out for the year. Josh Pascal or James Houston, one of those two are going to have to step up to the plate unless the Lions do something at the deadline and go trade for someone. We'll have to see. Lions, of course, dealing with a lot of injuries, but of course, injuries are part of the game, though. Everybody has to deal with it at some point. At this point, it's next man step up or step aside. And we'll find out Monday night if anybody on the line steps up to the plate or if they step aside for Seattle. But I think this Monday night, Detroit will step up to the plate. I think it's going to be a decently high-scoring game. I have Detroit winning this game 28-21. I think Detroit finally beats the Seahawks in this regular season game. I think 7th time is the charm for Detroit. I think this is finally the one. Seattle under a lot of pressure. I think Detroit takes advantage of it, and I think they pull it off at home against the Seahawks. Gonna be a very loud crowd. With it being a primetime game, I think Detroit pulls it off against the Seahawks. I have Detroit winning, and I got Detroit going to 3-1 entering the bye week because it's gonna be very crucial for the Lions. Must-win game not only on primetime, but because the Lions are on the bye next week. So yeah, it'd be good to get some momentum to head into that bye week with, and then go get healthy. But yeah, I got the Lions winning. That's all I gotta say. Let's go get this W on Monday night and finally beat the Seahawks and deal with this goddamn thorn in Detroit's side for so many years. Time to deal with that thorn in Seattle. But yeah, let's go get this W. Let's go to 3-1, and let's continue that push, not only for the NFC North, but to get back to the playoffs and then do some damage there. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. I'll see you all whatever I make next. I'm out. Go Lions.